Hey guys, me here today. You guys are gonna laugh at this. Okay, this is, I guess you could call it a rant video, but this is not a rant about wrestling. It's not about Call of Duty. It has nothing to do with pretty much anything I've ever posted. But this is just friggin' aggravating. I'm just gonna say some stuff, and people are stupid. But anyways. Television, alright? Yeah, I know, laugh. Laugh now, I know. Television. This is what this rant is about. Okay. You're seeing so many frickin' things, and you've seen them for so many years about high definition. Can anybody explain to me what high definition is? High definition is 720p, okay? And then, you see companies like Dish Network will provide HD for life. Well, that's great. I mean, for life doesn't usually mean for your life. It usually means for 20 years, but I don't see any newer programming coming out in the next few years to be coming out in 720. Some of the programming, I mean, all the TV that we see now with your standard cable is 480. Okay, it's 480p. Before that, it was 320. You'll start noticing a theme. It pretty much always ends in 20s and 80s, and it actually goes up by certain increments. But anyways, okay. A couple of years ago, I bought myself a 720p TV. Now I've recently bought a 1080p. Okay? And I knew nothing about TVs really going into buying a new TV. I spent 3 days doing as much research as I could, learning the differences between 480, 720, and 1080. Okay? And it's funny now that people are just going out buying 1080p TVs like they're going out of style. It's funny because you people are wasting your money. And I'll tell you why. Okay? Unless you get the TV for under $500, you're blowing your money. And I mean, that's $500 before taxes and warranties and all that. But anyways, okay, 720p is high def. Most most stations that we see are 480. Okay, 720 was HD. Full HD is 1080p. This is where you also start seeing Blu-ray and all that other good stuff. Basically, the best way to describe it to somebody, see, I learned more in 3 days than people that actually do this for a living. You know, the companies that pretty much all they do is sell electronics and all that. I've been to tons of those companies, and I seem to know more about TVs than they do. That's very sad. That's their job, and they've been doing it for months or years. I spent 3 days learning everything I could learn, and I knew more than they did. But anyways, guys, what you need to realize is 1220p is going to be the next in TVs. And people are going, at the beginning of this year, people were arguing with me. Almost everybody was arguing. Any of my friends I was talking with, there's going to be nothing else above 1080. But now people are realizing that there is something above 1080. Last year, roughly around November, December, there was actually a printer released that was actually that printed in 1220p format. It actually printed 1220p pictures. So if you can get 1220p pictures, something higher definition than your TV or your computer, then it's eventually going to come into TVs. You're seeing plasma versus LCD. LCDs, the difference is depending on the lighting you have in your room. Technically LCD is better. Plasma costs more to make, but LCD is technically better. Okay, from 720 to 1080, there's going to be a 1220 coming out in the market. Probably next year. Samsung, guys, just so you know, Samsung is pretty much the leader in televisions. They're not always the most expensive. It's usually LG or Sony are usually the most expensive. Samsung is the best. It's the best refresh rate, the best everything is from Samsung, at least at this moment in time. When they were coming out with 3D TVs at first, it was a bunch of BS, and people were buying them up because people are idiots. Learn your research. The people that bought 3D TVs last year and earlier this year, within the next 5 years or so, are going to start having, if you don't change your TV and you watch it all the time, you're going to start having complications. You're going to wind up having epilepsy, which is mini seizures. And you're going to have that because what's happening is at 3D, basically at that point in time, you had to be sitting pretty much almost directly in the middle, and you always have one eye weaker than the other eye, and the frames are lapping and flashing at 60 frames per second, and one eye is trying to overcompensate for the weaker eye, and since you have to be in the middle and blah 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 blah, it actually screws up your brain. And it's true with anybody at all. If you've ever gone and seen 3D movies in theaters and seen 4 hours or so, by the time you're at that 4th hour mark, you go and stand up, you are completely loopy. You can't. You're kind of in a little bit of a fog, and that's because 3D is not right at the moment, and it's pretty screwy. And finally, they've came out with, and they've admitted, like LG admitted, that the 3D TVs they put out were pretty much pieces of shit, and now the newer ones are better. And yes, they are a little bit better. I don't see 3D taking off fully and being correct until the 1220p format. That is basically why 1220 is coming out. Mostly is for the 3D experience and the 3D accurate experience. I don't know if this is still true, but I knew at the time when Saw 7 came out, it was the only movie filmed entirely in 3D, and I believe it's still the same way, though I'm not 100% sure. And I know you're going to argue with me and blah 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 blah. But if you look at any 3D movie and you go and watch Saw 7, you notice there's huge differences. In most 3D, it pops out the screen, but it's still a few feet away from you. If you watch Saw 7 in theaters in 3D, it actually looked like the objects were pretty much only a few inches in front of your face. It's because, and the reason why Saw did it is it costs a lot more money, and it's a lot better quality, and nobody else had done full filming in 3D. I mean, if you see cartoon movies in 3D, you ever see them? Like you see a little puppy dog or whatever, it looks like it's almost in your face. It's because it's easy to do with cartoons. But have you ever watched another movie other than Saw, if you've seen it or not? Or like if you haven't seen it, if you have seen it, have you ever watched any other 3D movie? The 3D effects aren't all that great. It's not directly in front of you. It's a few feet back. Yeah, it pops off the screen a bit, but it's still not all that cool. And you also, if you pay really close attention, even with a 1080p format, when you're looking at 1080p 3D and you look in the background beyond the objects that are in the foreground, if you look in the background, especially at nighttime scenes, it's blurry. It's like you're trying to watch a Blu-ray DVD on an HD DVD player. It's not working properly. This is where this 1220p is going to come from. It's going to help. It's going to be more intricate, and you're going to be able to see more clearly, and it's going to make 3D work properly. Although there are still, as far as I know, there's only Saw and maybe only a couple other ones that were filmed entirely in 3D, not filmed in standard, not filmed in standard, and then transferred over to 3D later, which is very easy to do. They did that with Avatar. They did that, or they're doing that with Titanic. They're going to do that with the whole Harry Potter series. That's basically what it's going to be. They can take any movie and remake it into 3D. It's a pretty simple process to do. The best way to explain 320 to 480 to 720 to 1080 to 1220 is basically think of a picture. The more pieces you cut from that picture, the more intricate that picture is going to be. It's like a puzzle. So you see a 100-piece puzzle versus a 500 versus 1,000 versus a 10,000. It's more and more intricate, more and more detail. It's basically what it is it's taking that picture on your TV and cutting it. So think of it as on a 720p TV, on your TV screen, you have 720 little squares going across the whole entire screen. And then with 1080, you're seeing 1080 going across. Basically what that's doing is that's making things more defined, making color richer, making low light situations brighter, making nighttime more clear. And that's what this definition is doing. The 1080p is fine for now, but people that are still going out spending $1,500, $2,000 on your 1080p TV, it's ridiculous. Because with another year or two, they're going to wind up having the 1220p out. All broadcasting channels within the next 5 years are going to be running on the standard 720p channel. Every show is going to be 720. You're seeing quite a few of them now on basic cable. Everything is running at a 720. Even on the HD networks and all that other BS, it is still 720. It's not 1080. You can even tell. You can definitely tell 720 versus 1080 in low light situations or nighttime situations. If you look in the background instead of the foreground, you notice it's quite a bit blurry. There is a huge jump between 480 and 1080, and they always that's the jumps that you're seeing in TV stores that are showing the differences between high def and low def. And yeah, what they're doing is they're showing you the difference between low def, which is 480, and high def, which is the 1080, not the 720. There is a bit of a difference between 480 and 720, but there's a huge jump between 480 and 1080. And that's what they usually show. That's what tricks you. And the thing is, with the 3D format, the 1080p is just not accurate enough to be able to see everything you need to see. You can see everything in the foreground fine, but in the background and low light nighttime situations, it's pretty terrible. But anyways, I'm just so sick and tired of companies lying on TV and people lying to me, and people have been asking me recently on Xbox, what do you think of your 1080? Yeah, you know what, 1080p TV for gaming is friggin' awesome. I definitely recommend it. 1220p is the future. The earliest it'll come out with TVs in public market will probably be, I'm going to guess, summer of next year is probably going to be the earliest we will see it. I know a buddy of mine is wanting to get one done. He's got quite a bit of money, too much money if you ask me. He's wanting to get one custom made for himself to come out before it hits the public. But that's going to cost quite a few thousands of dollars. But anyways, I just thought I'd say all that. And yeah, there it is, my rant on high definition.